Top of the morning to you, and welcome to the Rants show. And I'm Broly. I'm here to explain everything to you. My friends are here to ask me some questions and help guide you down the path of righteousness.
Hi, Broly.
Hi, girl. How are you today?
Fabulous. How
Awesome.
are you?
Better than most people.
Your real name is Scotchyog Miller. How did you get your name?
Well, my name's Scott John Malore is the name that was given to me when I was born. Broly was my second nickname. It was given to me by the public. It means that I'm the destructor of the world, which is the exact opposite of what I really am. Which society, having everything backwards, named me backwards.
Where did you learn about religion?
Well, Scott John Malore went to school at Hawthorne Christian School from the time he was in kindergarten through 8th grade. So I think that's 9 years of studying religion in classes the size of like about 10 on average class size. So every single year we read the Bible. Every single year we went through religion. We were a Christian school, but we studied other religions too.
So you don't believe in Jesus Christ or Christianity?
No, I was led my whole life, I believed in Christianity. I still know that Jesus was a real person and that he died on a cross. That's about it.
So, what do you believe in that is different from other people?
Well, first off, if you want to go back to the topic of Jesus, what happened was John the Baptist, we all know, was in the river baptizing people in the light of God. There were people dancing in the river. There was music. They were having a good time. They were partying in the name of God. Then along comes Jesus. Comes up to John and says, "Hey, John, what are you doing?" And John's like, "Oh, I'm baptizing people in the light of God, waiting for God to show up." And then Jesus decided that it was his ability at that point to say, "I'm the one Son of God. Here I am. I'm here now." And he took the whole story away from John from there on out.
Do you believe there's many sons and daughters of God?
We are all sons and daughters of God, the same as Jesus or John. They're just, some people have more knowledge and are more logical and gifted, deemed by God only.
So what led you to spiritual enlightenment?
Well, for a long time, I was worshiping Jesus. I watched family members pass away that were devout, what you call Christians, and Jesus worshipers. And I realized that it's actually a curse and that none of us should be suffering. I learned from going to parties where I was trying to get fucked up to get away from society, and I found God in front of the speakers where I didn't have to hear or listen to anything else except for what I wanted to do. And God.
Does God speak to you?
Not like people say God. It's not a voice. It's not like even Moses said it was.
So visions?
No, it's built into your brain. It's built into everybody's brain. Everybody knows good and bad. You don't hurt people. You're not supposed to hurt people. Their mind, body, or soul. It's illegal in the eyes of God, and retribution will come on you probably instantly.
Who is God?
God is the governor of disorder of souls or energy, life force. All energy is deemed to be there only by God. And God, to us, it would be the simplest, is the God of light, the God of creation. The same one that they were worshiping in Egypt, Ra, before the Tower of Babel.
Who is Ra for people that do not know who Ra is?
Ra, or Ra, is the creator, or what humans are allowed to know as the creator, from Egypt. If you go back to the earliest religions in Egypt, they were doing it right, but they pissed off God.
So, was God and Ra the same person, or is God and Ra two different gods?
God is an all-encompassing. Let me explain God a little more. God is also the master of matter, or the hive mother. The collective consciousness is of all of us. So God is a specific group that's above all else, where there's deities so that us simple humans can understand God better.
Why do you believe that God created humans?
Humans, first off, stands for helping undeveloped minds achieve nirvana. And that basically means that we're being raised here in the light of God, Ra, our Father. We're being raised in the light of Ra so that we can evolve our minds to be happier, jollier, take care of the earth, and not hurt each other's temples. Once we accomplish this, we get to nirvana, which is the same thing Buddha got to. Then after nirvana and after your life, you are eternal and you will run celestial bodies or galaxies, whatever God deems.
Do you believe that you have reached nirvana, or do you still believe that you are continuing on the journey to it?
I actually reached nirvana at Good Vibe Tribe this year. I mean, it's only logical and all natural. I mean, come on.
So,
how about explain that? Say, what about Adam and Eve?
what about Adam and Eve?
Okay, what happened in the garden? After all the girls kept telling me that there's something else happened in the garden, it wasn't just Adam and Eve, I started doing a little research. I found that Lilith, this red-headed girl with snakes, appears in a few different religious books and writings. I started thinking about the whole thing, and I go, okay, the stupidest part about the whole thing is Cain and Abel. Something else happened there. God doesn't punish you by killing your good son by your bad son. So I started thinking.
So who is Lilith?
Okay, Lilith, the redhead with the snake, is the second creation of God as far as human on earth. The first human was what we'll call John. John was the first human there, and Lilith came second. They were the first couple, call them genetic 1 and genetic 2.
So who is their God? How did they come about? Do they have the same God as Adam and Eve? Or are they Adam and Eve?
They were the original couple. And then I continued to read, and I found out that couple, they were there for a full year, which back then was called a day because it was a full cycle for God. God called it a day. Humans have it a little bit backwards because a full day, according to God, is the full cycle of the whole universe, 1 year. So they called it. So it said that John and Lilith were there Lilith was there for a day. It meant a year. So John and Lilith were there a year. They found where to get food. John started picking up snakes and holding snakes. His wife is thought to be Lilith, the healer snake. So anyways, a year later, Adam and Eve show up, and the story starts. They don't know where to find food. Eve goes out into the forest, accidentally runs into John. John's a more masculine type of guy. John hands her the apple, and they kind of fall in love. They're like, they love each other. They even have sex. Then Eve goes back to Adam. With the apple, and she'd already eaten some of it. She goes back to Adam and says, "Here, have some apple." And Adam looks at her and notices something's weird about her. He doesn't know exactly what, but he says, "What happened?" And Eve says, "Oh, I found this wonderful guy in the forest, and he gave me an apple, and he had a snake on his arm." Then all of a sudden, Adam gets jealous rage. The first time he'd ever felt jealousy, and jealousy was spawned right then. Jealousy, and then Adam gets really pissed and lies to Eve, saying, "Oh no, God told me that that's the forbidden fruit from the forbidden tree, and the snake, that was Satan. That was Satan." Even though we all know that a snake is not Satan.
So did Eve get pregnant with John's son, Cain?
No. I don't know if I'm not sure about pregnancies at that point. I haven't. That's not even something I get into. It's more like Adam the next day, because he was pissed off that his girl had obviously had sex, or not exactly sure what Eve told Adam. But then Adam goes back out and finds a rock and smashes John in the back of the head, because Adam was more feminine, more like Jesus. He was more an emotional guy. So he got really butthurt when they hooked up. So he goes out and kills John, smashes him in the back of the head with a rock. First murder mystery ever. Spawns the devil, because he tells Eve that it was the devil when that's not true. So all of a sudden he's making up these lies that turn into demons because they're made up by man. So then the next day, since John is dead, Lilith goes looking for her husband and finds him dead. She starts going nuts. She runs over to finds Adam and Eve on a whim. They were close to each other in the jungle, we'll just call it, or the garden, whatever they want to call it. It's still a jungle. Anyways, she goes back to Adam and Eve and says, "Hey, my husband's dead. Can I live with you? I can't even get food for myself. I need help." And then that's when Adam and Eve, already knowing that they did something wrong, shunned her away. Even though Adam would have loved to have two wives. I mean, most guys love to have two wives. Why would he shun away another girl, especially when her husband's dead? Okay? So what happens to Lilith is Lilith runs to the sea eventually and drowns herself because she's pissed off at God for letting her husband die. And then that spawns Adam and Eve lies to the rest of the world. Adam and Eve started telling everybody they were the first.
Ask him what God has to say about all this. You ask.
What does God think about all the terror and the pain that he's seen, all this evil? When God is unconditional love, what does God think about all this evil that was created, that Adam and Eve brought?
He's disgusted. He was so disgusted by it that he flooded the earth.
So he let it go on for a little while. Then he was
trying to fix it. With Cain and Abel, he thought somebody would notice that God doesn't kill your kids unless you do something wrong.
So do you think Cain, when he was kicked out of the Garden of Eden, brought a new race of people?
Cain,
when he was kicked out of the Garden of Eden, when he was told to leave, do you think that he led a new generation of people?
Of course. When they screwed up again, they made the Tower of Babel. They had Nimrod the hunter. Nimrod the hunter decided that he was pissed off at God for having it flood. So he built the tower the wrong way. He built the tower up
instead of down.
Instead of towards the earth. God's anything in the earth and not in the dead sky.
So they were trying to reach spiritual enlightenment by going up.
No, actually Nimrod was not. He was trying to say, "Fuck you, God, I'm coming to you."
Why did Nimrod want to go to God?
Because he thought he was a god.
So who is Nimrod?
Nimrod the hunter is a gifted man you might even call him a prophet, but he was delusional, and being a man, he was worried about himself and what he could get, and not what God was giving him. So what happened after that is, God had to start separating the continents. And started separating all the continents so that we couldn't talk to each other until now, because we have technology and the English language, the universal language.
to believe that God gave us technology.
There's nothing in your brains that's not given to you by God. You are not a unique snowflake, as Tyler Durden would tell you.
So back to Adam and Eve. Did they have the same God as?
Life is all the same God. If you're alive and you're alive, you work for the same God. You don't have an option either.
So how do we get to tell people about this God? How do they find him?
Okay, well, I've written down almost everything that needs to be written. We're the logical light workers of God. Well, there's only logical light workers of God and logical dark workers of God. And do you think the dark workers are going to go anywhere? They're going to suffer and be in pain the whole time. I'm a logical light worker of God, like a paladin of God. I do no wrong.
Ask him about the sign up for.
Tell us a little bit about how to learn more about your beliefs on this religion and how we can sign up.
Well, first, I'm raising $2,000 so I can form the logical light workers of God underneath our government, under not-for-profit religious, so that we can join together and save the human race. You guys got to stop being confused.
All right. So if we have any more questions, how do we contact you?
First off, one more thing. I'm doing this also so that we don't lie to our children about fake holidays and not be able to tell our children who God is. If you can't tell the children who God is and give them a definition, you're doing them a disjustice. Back to the question, what was it, love?
Thank you. What was your email so that if we have any questions, we can contact you?
Oh, my email is Scotchy, SCOTCHYOG, @gmail.com. Please contact me and ask me any questions you'd like me to answer for you and your family.
Rants.
Love you long time. West Side.
And cut.